I am absolutely sick to death of paying through the nose for subscription services, whether that's Netflix or Paramount Plus or Sky, HBO, whichever one you're paying for. If you're like me and you're absolutely tired of it, I'm going to show you how you can build your own Netflix. So here is my media server running on Plex. Now, this is running on my PC. This also works exactly the same across my PS5, my Apple TV, my phone, my tablet, even my family's and my girlfriend's family's smart TVs. So I've got all this media here. I've also got all my TV shows, and they're not going anywhere. No one's going to take them off. No one's going to take them away from me. It's all going to work perfectly. First things first, let's talk about hardware. So if you're someone who just wants to dip your toe in the water, you can always use your current machine, an old PC, an old laptop, even something like a Mac Mini or a mini PC. Then that is a perfectly viable option. You won't be able to do a lot with it, but it's a great introduction to running apps on Docker. However, if you've got the money and you want to go the whole hog, then for the purposes of this tutorial, I will be using my NAS, and it's the one I fully recommend. This is the UGREEN NAS DXP 6800 Pro, and this machine is a little beast. I run a lot of little self-hosted apps and services on this, and it has yet to struggle with any of them. So this is the one I recommend. Having said that, it is on the pricier side. So you can also look at the 4800, which is a great little machine in itself. Doesn't quite have the power, but it's got more than you'll need for starting at this stage. The one I would steer clear of is the 2800, as it only has 2 hard drive bays. And as you start getting into the hobby, you're gonna want to expand and expand and expand. One lesson you're gonna learn is that your server is never truly finished. It's going to grow and grow and grow. If you want something a little bit on a kind of mid-range budget towards the lower end range, there are the Synologies. My first server was a Synology. It was the DS423 Plus, which was a great little machine, not the most powerful, did its job okay. However, Synology did recently announce, and I believe they have kind of backtracked on it, but it's only a matter of time before they commit. They will be implementing updates which only allow certified hard drives to be used in their servers, i.e. only their own hard drives, which can be incredibly expensive. Whichever device you decide to go for, I also recommend trying to get hold of one that has an Intel processor. The reason for this is Intel has a feature called QuickSync in their processors, which allows for better hardware transcoding. If you're not sure what that is, in a nutshell, it basically means that if you're streaming, say, an MKV file to a device that isn't MKV compatible, the processor will do some on-the-fly conversion so that your friend, family member, even yourself can stream their movie or TV show uninterrupted without you having to have 100 different versions of the same movie. Now for hard drives, the only ones I recommend are the Seagate IronWolf and IronWolf Pros. These can be quite pricey, but they are incredibly robust. NAS servers are designed to run 24/7, so you want something that can handle it. Don't cheap out and go for standard hard drives. They will burn out very quickly. So on top of that, you're also going to want an SSD cache. Now the reason you're going to want this is due to the read and write speed. So the way our setup is going to work is we're going to have 2 storage pools. One, which will be our SSD, will have all our apps. It will be where media gets downloaded to originally. It gets processed, it gets scanned, renamed, whatever it might be. And then once it's been processed, it's going to move over to our hard drive just for long-term storage. So we're going to need an SSD, because if you try and write directly to a hard drive, one, is going to shorten the lifespan of your hard drive. It's going to make a ton of noise and very low spousal approval on the noise front. So something to be wary of. And also it's going to be a lot slower, especially when it comes to downloads. So I have 2 terabytes of M.2 drives in my NAS. You could probably get away with getting just a 256, a 512, whatever is within your budget. So in terms of actually acquiring our media, if you want to just rip your own Blu-rays and media and host those, then you are welcome to do so. The 2 methods I'll be covering are using torrents, which some of you, I imagine most of you, probably familiar with. If you're not, torrents are based on P2P networking or peer-to-peer, where basically everyone has a little bit of the file. You get to your torrent client and it will pull the little bits it needs and then rebuild the file. Now, the downsides of this are it relies on seeders, and that's people who have the complete file. So if you've got this really obscure British TV show from the 1970s and nobody has it, you're going to have a bad time. So my preferred method is Usenet. And if you're not familiar with Usenet, it's a internet system that was set up in the 80s. It basically has servers and servers and servers full of an absolute metric ton of media. However, in order to access Usenet, you are going to need a couple of things. We're going to need a Usenet provider, which can set you back round about $8 to $10 a month. I tend to buy mine annually to save a bit of money, which I advise you do if you've got the funds to spare, or you can always just pay for 1 month, see if you get the use out of it, and then if you think you're going to, I advise going for annual subscriptions. So this is the provider I use. This is usenetserver.com. I have used these for probably 8-9 years at this point, and it has been nothing short of wonderful. So you can see they do a 1 month plan for $14.95, but if you buy annually, it works out to about $72, I believe that is, for the whole year. So I always pay annually, as I mentioned a moment ago, but if you just want to dip your toe in the water and get a 1 month plan, then you can also do that. You're also going to need access to Usenet indexes, and these are basically kind of like search engines that will scour the Usenet servers for the media you want. Now, whilst most of these are free, the free ones tend to have a very small limit in terms of what you can download per day. So some of them might say, oh, you can only download 1 episode of a TV show or a couple. Now, the best resource for Usenet indexes is the Usenet subreddit. And in my case, I have probably 3 or 4 indexes that I've managed to get invite codes over the years for. I probably spend about $15 to $20 a year on each of these indexes, and that allows me to use their API keys to hit their servers up to thousands of times a day. So this is the Usenet subreddit, and it is the most useful resource for all things Usenet. But what I want to point out is if we go over here to this wiki, and we go to indexes, you can see a list of all the indexes here and how their memberships work, which ones are free, which ones are paid, which ones take crypto, for example, and any other free ones down here. So this should be your #1 resource for locating some Usenet indexes. And there we are. That is just a quick overview of the things we're going to be covering in this series. If you want to follow along, then please make sure you subscribe and tick your little notification bell there. Also, I'd very much appreciate a like. It really helps the channel. And if you've got any questions, feel free to pop them in the comments below. So next Sunday, the hard work starts, and we're going to be looking at setting up all these apps in Docker. See you then.